And welcome to Financially Speaking with SFM. My name is Cynthia DeFazio, and I'm joined today by Mike Allen and Frank Lavalio. They're the co-founders of Security Financial Management. Mike, let me start with you. How are you today?
Doing great, thank you. How are you?
I am fantastic. Thank you so much for asking. And Frank, how are you today?
Doing fantastic. Beautiful day here, and hope you're well. How you doing, Cynthia?
I am doing fantastic. Never better. Thank you so much
Good.
for asking. And I always look forward to our time together in the studio because we're obviously talking about a very important topic, having a plan in place for retirement. Mike, is it still a staggering number of people that do not have a true plan in place?
There are a bunch of people that don't, and we're really finding that by our show, people calling in and setting up meetings, and they may have investments, they may have thought about planning, but they haven't really had they don't know what a true financial plan is. So
Sure.
giving that offer where they can come in and do a financial plan with us is great, and we really enjoy meeting a group of people that maybe we wouldn't have met otherwise.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. Thank you so much. Frank, I want to ask you a question. Obviously, if someone is watching us for the very first time this
Sure.
week, let's talk a little bit about the birth of the company. How did
Sure.
you come about?
You know, and it's a fun story to tell, and we do tell it on each of our shows. Mike's brother Dave and I started the practice.
They tell it a lot.
Yeah, we do. We do. And you're a little part of it now, so you like it now, don't
Yeah,
you? About over 30 years ago, Mike's brother Dave and I, we met at a basketball camp, and to kind of play that forward, we stayed good friends. We became fast buddies, and in our college years, we both were studying finance in different Florida institutions, and I was a little smarter than your brother. Still am a little bit,
Yes,
aren't I?
you are.
And we decided, when we talk and we'd say, you know, wouldn't it be fun one day, we're both studying finance, wouldn't it be fun to start a financial business together at one point? So we both went to a Fortune 100 large company that kind of gave us some training. Only about 2 or 3 years into it, we realized that we wanted to start something different, something unique that would be independent and do something on our own. And so we founded Security Financial Management over 3 decades ago, and it serves, you know, thousands of clients now. And about 10 years after we founded, we brought Mike on to kind of lead and run our Melbourne division.
They dragged me in kicking
Yeah.
and screaming, and I can't get away. It's 22 years, and I can't get away.
Yeah, and now we have 20 advisors besides the 3 partners that help serve clients, and it's been a passion of ours for many years now, and it's very fulfilling to kind of dig in and help a lot of people with their finances. So it's been neat.
Sure. Mike, let's talk about the different locations. Where are you located in the state?
Melbourne,
Okay.
Melbourne, Florida. We're
Yeah.
basically near the Space Center.
Okay.
So we're a little south of that, but we're near the coast, and
Yeah.
we love it over there. And that's where I grew up, and all of us grew up. And Dave and Frank hang out over in the Orlando area more than I
Okay.
do. But we love it over there. My family does.
Oh, and you're visiting Mickey Mouse a lot?
Yeah, pretty much. Especially Liz and I have 4 kids. Especially when the kids were younger, it was the best show in town. But like most times, when you live in the area, you're like, we can go to Disney anytime we want. You wind up not going that much,
Sure.
right? You wind up going like to Phoenix.
Right.
You go other places that aren't in Orlando. So
What's great about what we do and the different people we affect is on the Space Coast, we have a lot of the engineers from the Space Center, Patrick Air
Sure.
Force Base, or
Yeah.
now, what is it called now? The Space Force?
Yes,
Patrick
yes,
Space Force.
Yes.
Okay.
And then over in Orlando, we have some overlap, like Lockheed Martin clients and everything. And but over there, we have there's the hospitals, the Disney World, Universal employees
Harris
that we all work.
Corporation
Yep.
over in
Yeah.
Brevard County. So yeah, there's lots of Allstate in Orlando, lots of different firms that over the years we've worked with a lot of the clients and executives and have a reputation to help people, which has been really nice.
Absolutely,
Yeah, it's been great.
absolutely. Mike, I want to talk to you a little bit about some of the pitfalls when it comes to planning for retirement. Would one of those be procrastination?
That's a big one.
Okay.
We find the clients that have put themselves in the best situation during the accumulation phase of their life are the ones who started right out of college or pretty close to that. Just start putting money away in their 401k or IRAs, Roth IRAs, just having that playing offense.
Yeah.
And putting money away and forgetting about that money. And when they get to 3 to 5 years from retirement, that's our job to bring it in and say, okay, well, how are we going to plan for the next phase and get them there? So if we have somebody who just started saving at age 50 or
Yeah.
60, that makes it kind of tough. we can do it, we can help them, but we just have to put a plan together and say, okay, this is what we need to do. We need to really start putting money away.
And to add to
Okay,
that, Mike,
okay.
one of the things we talked on a prior show was some of the pitfalls to kind of parlay into what you're saying
Yeah.
of retirement. And a couple of them are, and we've talked about this in some of our discussions, is taking too much risk, right? So people that come in one of the things we'll do is we'll really assess their risk and just look at everything that they own and be able to, we have a scoring system, with all the technology that's available to the world right now. We have a really unique scoring system that can tell somebody, on a scale of 1 to 100, 100 being very aggressive investor, which is fine if that's what your goal is.
Sure.
And a 1 would be, where's the nearest mattress I can hide my
Yeah.
money? I'm terrified of anything to do with the market.
Sure.
And so we score that and we look at that through some technology platforms, and it really gives people an opportunity to understand, because a lot of people think they might be risk averse, but when we really analyze and say, you know what, you're actually taking pretty good risk here, and they're a little surprised, not really understanding that they're taking the risk. And on the other side of that, Mike, we see all the time, is people that may be too conservative. We talked, I think, on one of our prior shows about one of the words we say, you can go broke safely. And people go, well, Frank, what does that mean, go broke safely?
Yeah.
Well, right now there's a lot of needs for people, and there's a lot of, with COVID, there's a tremendous need to help, and I think it's great what we're doing, but it's also, we have to underwrite that. So we gave about $2 trillion here recently and another $1 trillion at the end of 2020. There comes a day where you've got to pay that back, and that could create inflation, and it could make inflation go up perhaps. It looks like it's imminent that we'll have higher taxes, and those things are all fine, but it needs to be something that our clients plan for and put in their financial plan so they're aware of how are they going to execute the strategies that are best for them with this changing market. So going broke safely might mean if you're getting 1%, and it's okay to be conservative, but if you're yielding 1% and inflation goes up to 2 or 3%, then you could net minus 1% as far as the real purchasing power of the dollar. In other words, a loaf of bread, a car, a house, it's going to cost more money 5 and 10 years from now than it is today. So you got to make sure, if you want to keep pace with inflation, perhaps you should look at investments that will keep pace and maybe diversify into some other buckets. That's all.
Absolutely, that makes perfect sense. Well, Frank, we're about ready to open up the phone lines for the very first time this week. Do you want to tell the viewers quickly what they can expect to
Sure.
receive by calling in?
Yeah. So I'll expand on what I mentioned. If you call during the show, we're gonna provide a written financial plan, and it's complimentary. So we want to help people. That was the goal of starting this practice 3 decades ago. We want to help people. So if you call in during the show, we're going to offer that plan. And a couple of things I won't tell you. I'll let you tell all the things we'll do after the break. But a couple of things that we'll do is we'll look at risk tolerance, and we're going to look at really looking at what you own and analyzing the cost structure. A lot of folks will come in and say, you know what, I'm here for a reason. I don't really know how much I'm paying for these investments. Can you help me dissect that? And there's a way to really look at it and say, this is the cost for your current plan, and here's the cost for something that might be different. And again, we appreciate other plans and other advisors, but I think it's important to really understand what you have, and that's part of what the complimentary plan will do.
Especially if you're really
Yeah.
close to retirement, like 3 to 5 years from retirement, and
Sure.
have $400,000 to $500,000 of investable assets.
Okay.
Those are people we can really help.
Mike, thank you so much. Frank, thank you so much. To the viewers at home, the phone lines are now open. That number to call is 877-740-6553. We do have to take a very short commercial break, but don't go anywhere. When we come back, we're going to have so much more about planning your perfect retirement. Please stay tuned.
How confident are you in your current financial plan? Do you know with certainty how the recent market volatility will affect your future hopes and dreams? How much are you paying in taxes? And how much are you losing to unnecessary high fees? You didn't work to save this money so that you could spend your time worried in retirement. Now is the time to take charge of your finances so you can feel confident about your future. Call in during the next 30 minutes of today's show only to set up an absolutely complimentary, no obligation, full-blown financial review that will result in your own customized written plan. This is a $999 value that we're giving away complimentary to the first 10 people who respond. We'll start with a full-blown analysis of what you already have. by running a report to untangle how much you are currently paying in fees, how you're allocated for risk, and what it's costing to work with your current advisor. Next, we'll identify your goals. Where do you see yourself in the next 5 years? Where do you want to go, and who do you hope to go there with? Is your current financial plan set up to get you there without mishap? Let's design a roadmap to create a financial plan you can follow with confidence. Get the piece that so many people are missing from their retirement. Find out how having a written plan can make a difference to your retirement dreams. Call now to schedule your complimentary, no-obligation, full-blown financial review today.
And welcome back to Financially Speaking with SFM. My name is Cynthia DeFazio. I'm joined today by Mike Allen and Frank Lavalio. They're the co-founders of Security Financial Management. Gentlemen, a great show that we're having today. And Mike, I wanted to ask you to kind of elaborate a little bit further about the plan. A lot of people are very excited to receive that information, but let's talk about what goes into designing a plan for someone.
Yes, it's very important. Thanks for asking. The financial plan starts from the very beginning. A client comes in and we find out what their goals are. We find out what's important to them in their lives. And then we say, okay, well, what do you have now?
Yeah.
What kind of debt do you have? What kind of assets do you have? Do you have IRAs? Do you have pensions? Do you have, obviously, hopefully, Social Security? There's some cases where somebody doesn't qualify for Social Security, like somebody who works out at the Space Center who has the civil service,
Okay.
CSRS. But we look at all that and then we say, okay, how are we going to put this together and make a plan work for you? And it's different for everybody. We look at their risk tolerance as well and look at their investments. And then again, we put the plan together and tell them what it's going to take to hit their goals.
Okay.
And it always changes from year to year. So it's very important to update it.
Okay, all right, that makes sense. Frank, let me ask you a question. The lump sum illusion.
Right.
What is that?
And it's one of those words that, and again, it's fun over a few decades to really look at this. We get this question all the time, and a lot of people, and we want to straighten it out, because a lot of people will say, Frank and Dave and Mike and your team, if I have $1 million, is that enough to retire? Just because it's a number that a lot of people try and achieve over a retirement strategy. And, and the answer is we have no idea. So let's look at, and one of the first things that we do when we do this financial plan, or this written analysis, it's really probably more important to understand exactly what your expenses are than the lump sum. So we call it lump sum illusion. If I get this seven-figure number, this $1 million, certainly I'm going to be in great shape for the rest of my life. But that's not really true.
Yeah.
So let's say, for example, you have an income need, and let's just get a number just because it'll help for simplicity of this example. Let's just say you need $10,000 a month to live. You've got a few rental properties and you like to go on vacation, you want to do some things for your children, you may want to do some gifting, and they say, Frank, I need $10,000 a month. Well, $1 million is a lot of money, but if your expenses are high, that would be what they consider a 10% or more withdrawal rate, right?
Okay.
So if you're pulling out a withdrawal rate of 10% or more, that's going to really get into the corpus of your principal. And without getting too deep, the withdrawal amount you're taking out and the expenses that you incur, it's very important to make sure that that number pulled out of your portfolio is a reasonable number so you can sustain your lump sum, whether that's $500,000, $1 million, or $5 million. You've got to make sure that the expenses that you incur each month are consistent with a withdrawal rate that's going to keep that principal strong, because with medical technology, and we look at mortality rates today, people are living healthy lives, 80, 85, 90, 95. A grandfather lived to 102. People are living long lives. We want to make sure that their principal is intact, because with inflation and other things, you want to be that. We always say we want to have no Walmart greeters in our practice. We
Unless
want to
they
make
want to.
Unless
that's
they
right.
want to
Unless
be.
they want
Yeah.
to.
Nothing wrong with Walmart.
Yeah, that's right. You're right about that. But we want to make
Cute
sure.
smiley face stickers.
That's right. We want to make sure people are working when they're 70, 80, 90 years old, if they choose to,
Right.
not because they have to. And there's a difference. And part of that difference is really understanding what your expenses are. Very critical.
Digging into it with
Absolutely.
them. We know the questions, like often not knowing what to ask, or the clients not knowing what's out there. we know what to ask, and we
Yeah.
know we see it all the time, like Medicare and just the cost of insurances and cost of estate planning and what
Sure.
it takes for an estate plan. And setting up the defenses is really important. So in regards to other expenses, we try to compartmentalize various expenses, and a big
Yeah.
one is travel. Somebody may say, yeah, we need $4,000 a month for expenses, and then we're good. Then all of a sudden I say, well, what about travel? Oh yeah, $10,000 a year, that's all. Other clients, $20,000 a
Yeah,
year.
yeah.
Frank spends a lot on travel. He likes travel.
I
Right,
do
Frank?
like it. Yes, I
Yeah.
do.
You're
And it's in my,
He's
it's
always
in
been my
my,
hero.
and it's in my written financial plan, Mike.
See, there you go. Mike, let me talk to you a little bit about how someone maybe in the audience today, they have investments, but having investments is not really a plan. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay.
It's not. It's part of the plan.
Okay.
Investments are really important, but you have to look at all the other areas. This, like I said before, is estate planning, insurance planning. Retirement planning is separate from investments, because part of the retirement plan can be your income as well. Hopefully you have a pension, which is a dying breed, but it's really important.
Just to add to that, Mike, is a part of a plan we see so many times that we've talked about in 2 or 3 other shows, beneficiary designation. So, right, you can
sure.
have
Yeah.
everything set up perfectly. You have your investments set up, you have a good estate plan, you've got your will in place, you've got trusts in place, everything's in good shape. We had an example of a client that had all those boxes checked and went through a tough divorce. I'm not sure there's any that's not tough, but it was a tough divorce. And we got referred to this client after the fact. It was late, but he left an ex-wife on a $500,000 beneficiary designation. So you can imagine the phone call from the children
yeah.
wanting to understand what happened to this $500,000 that's going to someone that the family didn't like very much anymore,
Right.
especially the spouse that was in a contentious divorce. But if you have your financial plan set up, you could have a very good investment strategy, but things like estate and beneficiary designations can really bite you pretty hard if you don't take the time. So again, part of the complementary plan is let's look at everything. Let's give us all your contracts, all your life insurance contracts. Let's look at your annuity contracts, anything you own, and let's study the beneficiary, because one mistake of not changing something that you might forget about could really cost a really efficient estate and investment plan, just like that.
And also, like
Yeah.
if they've done all their estate planning, and you have one spouse who says they're individually on a bank account, and it's a pretty big bank account, and that person passes away, there's a good chance. We're not attorneys, but we've seen that have to go through probate. So you have to be really careful on the way you set your bank accounts up, your estate planning up, and it's something
Absolutely.
you want to keep up on.
Absolutely. Well, gentlemen, this is the perfect time for us to open up the phone lines to the viewers at home. Would you agree?
Absolutely.
To the viewers at home, the phone number to call is on your screen. That number is 877-740-6553. What you're calling in for today is a complimentary, comprehensive retirement plan, if you will, a financial plan. Make sure that what you have worked for your whole life can be safe and protected as you are working through your retirement years. Again, all you have to do today is pick up the phone and call, and that number is 877-740-6553. We have to take a very short commercial break, but please stay tuned. We have so much more right after this short break.
As a good saver, you've been putting away money during your working years. Studies find that the biggest fear of retirees is running out of money. Market volatility isn't just the downward movement of stock prices, it's the size and frequency of change. The more dramatic the ups and downs, the higher the volatility. This can put savers who are newly retired or a few years away from being retired at greater risk. Today's generation of retirees is not receiving traditional pensions as our parents or grandparents did. Instead, we have retirement accounts such as 401ks or 403bs. These accounts typically expose your money to market risk. The last thing you want right before retirement is to lose a portion of the money you need for income. But how do you turn these accounts into a retirement income? Is it safe to keep all your retirement money sitting in the stock market? The last thing you want is to lose a portion of the money you need for income due to market loss. By working with a financial professional, you can learn how to turn a portion of your savings into an income stream for life and income for the life of your spouse if you're married. We all have moments in our lives when we wish we had taken action sooner. Don't let procrastination rain on your retirement parade. Act now before it's too late. Please call our office to set up your no-cost, no-obligation retirement income review today.
And welcome back to Financially Speaking with SFM. My name is Cynthia DeFazio. I'm joined today by Mike Allen and Frank Lavalio. They're the co-founders of Security Financial Management. Gentlemen, a great show that we're having today, obviously talking about some very important topics surrounding planning for retirement. Frank, let's dive into the tax issue, if you will. Obviously, a lot of people in the viewing audience probably have some questions today about taxes. How do those factor into retirement?
Yeah, it's a great question, and it's something that really viewers need to understand. And we talked about it a little bit, I think, on another show, but what people need to understand when it comes to retirement planning and distribution strategies, you really need to understand all the different buckets of what you have. So let's say, for example, which a lot of people accumulate their wealth through retirement plans, all right? We all know that once money comes into our families, I know for me, Liz and I had 4 kids, it always felt like it was college tuition or help somewhere. And it's like, wait a minute, we got to make sure that we capture this for ourselves. So retirement plannings and simplified employee pensions and 401ks are a great strategy to kind of steal money from yourself and get it out into the future so you'll have a good retirement strategy. And that's been around for really since the 70s when the 401ks came around. But other than the 401k, I think it's important to understand your after-tax investments. Maybe you own real estate properties, or maybe you have Roth IRAs, or maybe you have pension plans. So part of what we want to do is look at all those different strategies and all those different buckets, if you will, and make sure there's an efficient strategy of income coming out. And one thing people need to realize is, let's go back to that savings vehicle, which has been a wealth builder for a lot of Americans, the 401k. 401ks are great, and corporations offer them pretty much across the board, depending on the company. But what people got to realize is, let's say you accumulate, let's use that $1 million number again, because it's a big goal. You have that $1 million in a 401k, and now it's time to withdraw money out of your 401k. People need to understand that you developed that and earned that wealth all pre-tax, maybe over 20 or 30 years savings. When it's time to pull that money out, just for simplicity of the discussion, let's say you have $1 million in that 401k, and in the first year you want to pull out 25% tax rate. If you want to pull out $100,000 or 10% of that million, that's 25% of $1 million. You're looking at a pretty nice little tax there. So you got to understand the after-tax distribution rate. It's going to be a little less than the gross amount that's in that bucket. So things to understand.
Yeah, and the 401k plans now, they have a lot of times have the Roth IRA or the Roth 401k option too.
Yeah, those are nice.
And it's nice to, you have to pay the taxes now.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, you got to pay Uncle Sam sometime. But to get that out of the way with that part of the bucket, and that's going to be part of your after-tax money that you're going to be able to take out, actually tax-free in most cases. So really important to do that and look at all the different areas.
Absolutely. And again, a person wouldn't know all these different options that are available to them unless they book a consultation to come in and really sit down and talk really in depth about what their financial future looks like in terms of retirement.
Right, and they might want to delay. We have clients that come in and say, okay, I've got Social Security, 62, I'm going to take it then. I got my pension, I'm going to start taking X amount of my 401k without even looking at, okay, what are your expenses? Okay, let's hold up. And maybe we're going to say, let's delay Social Security for a while to get that 8% gain every year as far as that goes. And if somebody takes that and we can delay it. And Frank, what do you think?
Yeah,
I think
absolutely.
that, Social Security is its own little kind of avenue, but just little things that people need to understand when it comes to Social Security is, if you get to full retirement age and you make that, depending on your age, for some now baby boomers, let's just say that 66 and 9 months, because we had a client that was just in that, it was 66 and 9 months. If you make it to full retirement age, every year you delay, it's about an 8% bump up, or it is an 8% bump up. So each year you delay after you reach full retirement age, which you can go to ss.gov and get that number, we can help you do that, then you know that you'll get 8% added to that actual amount. So if you have a $3,000 benefit, it's 8%, it's $240 extra the year after that you meet full retirement age. So part of what we do is really study that and say, what's that number look like? If you delay and take it, what's that break-even point between mortality and getting the best amount of juice coming out of Social Security?
And oftentimes
Yeah.
it's not a life-changing event for clients, but we're trying to help them make good choices with their money.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Frank, someone in the viewing audience today, let's say they're 5 years away from retirement, what should they be doing today?
Right, it's a good question. And you're getting in that, Mike had mentioned earlier, in that 3 to 5 years out.
Yeah.
Of course, as I mentioned earlier, you want to start that saving process decades before that, right? So
sure.
when you're 3 to 5 years out, if you haven't done the right things, as good as Mike Allen is, it's going to be tough for him to save you if you're down to the last 24 months and haven't done any retirement planning. But when you get to that 3 to 5 years, that's when you really want to rev it up and you really want to start dissecting, doing these kinds of analysis to make sure that what are my expenses? We mentioned that earlier with that lump sum scenario. What do I need to take out in distribution? What's the tax efficiency? What's my net amount I'm actually going to spend in retirement?
Yeah.
And work backwards and make sure that we're going to get you to that number that you need to have a good retirement strategy. So, and it takes time to do that. So 3 to 5 years out, you really want to sharpen that pencil and get where you make the right decisions.
Absolutely.
For sure.
So, Mike, again, as you're approaching the retirement years, the most important thing that you can do is have a plan in place. Would that be correct?
Definitely have a plan in place and look at even your debt, and when you're going to take the Social Security is important. A lot of times, people say, "I'm going to pay off my mortgage."
Yeah.
Right before retirement, and maybe it's a good thing, maybe it's not. So what we do is we look at that and run the different what if scenarios, and then also with Medicare. We hear people say, well, when Medicare kicks in, my Social Security is going to pay for it. And we're like, well, you have pretty good reserves where you could pay for your insurance, your Medicare out of that, and let your Social Security grow.
Absolutely. Gentlemen, thank you again for another amazing show this week. To the viewers at home, the phone number to call is on your screen. That number is 877-740-6553. What you're calling in for today is a comprehensive complimentary financial plan. Let the gentleman take a look at what you currently have in place. Is it the right plan for retirement? Does it need to be tweaked or adjusted? You won't know unless you pick up the phone and call. The number is 877-740-6553. Thank you for spending time with us again this week. Be safe, be happy, be blessed, and we'll see you back 1 week from today, same location.